What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XPR today, XPR Network, at the request of Jake Snake. We're doing this one for you, my friend. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Here we are on a weekly basis. We are up 44.8% at about half a cent now. Quite the wicked drop just to start the week off, right? Monday was the beginning of the week, and we dropped from the open to down. We dropped 39%. The average altcoin in that same amount of time dropped 22%. We can actually observe that here. If we're on, I guess the daily time frame again, even if it's on the weekly time frame, it's the same thing from the opening point to the down point. 22%. Others is essentially what the average altcoin does. So if you drop more than this, you drop less than this, that's how you know you're outperforming or underperforming. So XPR dropped a little bit more, but I wouldn't say it was underperforming because it had a wicked pump right beforehand, right? So this is one of those coins that kind of gets a pass on that more than average drop. In fact, it's probably a really good, that was a really good buying opportunity. Unfortunately for some people, and there always is, the price cannot reach these levels if there's not people selling. So there were definitely people selling at the lows, unfortunately, right at the most ideal areas to buy, which were previous areas of resistance, right above previous areas of resistance. Even on a fib perspective, I'm sure if we take this low to high here, yeah, you you literally tipped your golden ratio, didn't you? Oh, I guess not. You actually fell just shy of it, which that's actually really bullish. Whenever you reach for the golden ratio, but you actually can't attain it, that is a very bullish thing. I wonder about what about this relative low here? Kind of obscure, but yeah, that was like a panic drop, so it makes sense that this low might not be anywhere that makes sense on a fib basis, but on a price basis, right, it's very obvious that we were finding support at previous areas of resistance. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of an understanding of what happened here, finding support at previous areas of resistance, I think we can establish that we are likely going to go higher. That is the low. It's not going lower. Yes, it's already up 45%, even though it was down 39%. Man, what are you doing on a daily basis? Yesterday, you closed 65% in the green. That's awesome. Look at where you bounced to on the daily RSI, right in this higher low trend that you've got going on. Let me get this going back here. Look at that, man. That's beautiful. Yeah, you were in this massive up, man. Something like that. It's nice whenever you have an uptrend that's got a high pitch. That means you're going to move up in a short amount of time. But whenever it's long established like this, man, you get several opportunities to get into the overbought zone. Like that is good for an uptrend, man. That's really nice. Let's just see. You could be in this thing for a while. You could be in it for months more. It doesn't mean you will. You could break out of it any day, but just looking at it here, do you think you're going to go up or go down from here? I would assume you're going to go up, and likely, just like the last couple times that you were down here, you'll probably get into the overbought zone. So what happened the last couple times you got into the overbought zone? What happened here? Well, here, the day you got into the overbought zone would have been here this day, and from that wasn't the low, but whatever. You moved up about 86% from there. And then here, once you got into the overbought zone, you got back out of it. But once you got into it, it was this day here. So from the closing price to how high you moved before you started to really correct, that was a 394% pump. And if you don't like that, you want to measure this move. Okay, that was an 84% pump, basically the same as the one before. And then here, of course, once you did get overbought again, that was a 280%. All that saying, your minimum move has been 80 to 90%, and your maximum move was well over hundreds of percentages. So whenever you do get into the overbought zone, you're not there yet. So it'll take you some extra price growth from here. Let's assume that a move that's like 30, 40%, probably up to these highs, would get you into your overbought zone. Okay, something like that. An 80% move from there would be at about 1.3 cents. So you're at half a cent now, and just based off of how you've interacted with this RSI and going into the overbought zone, I would, and this is a rough estimate, right? I don't know the exact price where you're going to be whenever you get overbought, but I'm assuming that if you get above these highs, you will likely on the daily time frame be around the overbought zone, if not in it. Okay. And just a rough approximation of that, I would assume you get above a cent, but you're probably below a cent and a half. So this is what you have to look forward to at a minimum. Let's see if we can make sense out of that on a fib perspective. Okay, from a high to a low. A cent, 1.18 cents is the minimum target. 1.9 cents is the maximum target. The expected move based on the RSI would put you right smack dab in the middle there. Actually, a little bit below this line. So my expectation would be that you don't see one of these moves that were 84%, because if you were to see something like that, that'd actually take you just below the 1414. And I would anticipate with that big of a drop, with that healthy of a correction, you did have a bigger drop than most cryptos yesterday, but you had a bigger recovery and a more sustained recovery. You closed higher than the average crypto, right? We can actually observe that too. On a daily aspect, the average coin closed less than 5% in the green. You closed 65% in the green yesterday, and you're down 11% today. So, of course, a little bit. The average coin is down 4%. So, of course, you've got a little bit more volatility. But that's nice, man. We want volatility, especially if you're trading, especially if you're looking for opportunities to get in. And it might not be the most opportunistic moment right now, being at just under half a cent, whenever you could have bought at under a quarter cent, 20% of a cent. Literally about within the last 36 hours, you could have done that. It's not ideal to buy here, but I still think you've got a lot of growth to go. I still think this thing has plenty of room to run. And getting back to what I was saying before I got distracted there, I don't think it stops here. So likely you're going to go to your 1618. You're going to go to your golden extension, if not higher. Okay, if not higher. So let's see if we can make sense out of that going back in time as well. Okay. Do we see any significance? Is there anything that would make sense for us to stop potentially between these points, or even maybe at that 200? I like this as a zone instead of a specific line, but the golden ratio I think is definitely a specific area that we should keep in mind. Okay, so I'm going to delete the fibs. I guess we don't need to delete the fibs. We'll just leave them on there. Let's go back in time. So golden zone. Kind of at this shelf of resistance here, shelf of resistance there. Okay, I could see that. I like the 1886 to 200 more. It makes more sense to me to stop there. You know, I would think you would more likely stop here than you would the golden zone. That would be my opinion. So I'm either too bullish or I'm not bullish enough is what I'm getting here. Okay, so let me tell you what I'm seeing. You're going to do one of two things, and this I'm fairly confident in. Okay. I don't think if you were to hit the 1618, I don't think you stop there. So if you hit the 1618, if you hit 1.9 cents, I would assume you are going to move up to about 3 to 3.3, 3.5 cents, somewhere in that area, okay? Which would imply a 510% to a 610% move at the maximum. I'm not saying that's what I expect. I'm just saying from a price perspective, from a fib perspective, to relative to what you're doing here, and from what we've seen on the RSI. And you know, that move obviously wouldn't happen all at once. You'd probably have highs and lows going up there. It's not just a straight shot up there. But I would assume that your major stopping point before you see some kind of consolidation phase or corrective phase that lasts however long, it could be this long. It could be longer. You know, probably it's going to last about a month to 3 months, I would think, after this move ends in February to the middle of March. That's my kind of perspective at the moment. Okay, but again, your maximum area would be about 510 to 610%. If you don't hit the 1618, then you would likely stop here, which is fair, because oftentimes you can go with the 1414. You don't stop right at it. You actually do go just above it a good bit of the time. I'd say it's like 50% of the time, maybe 60% of the time. You don't top right at it. You go just above it. So to expect that, and in line with previous areas of resistance and previous areas of support, and that's kind of the most significant area. I also wonder, let's just see real quick. And that'd be a 234% move. So, oh no, you know, you only get a 3x, but that's still not bad, especially considering something that's pumped up as much as this, man. And I have to admit, man, this doesn't help. the fib I just threw on. I gotta admit. So, I don't know what to say. So if I were to take everything away, I'm gonna take it all away right now. Okay. Can you take it all away? Okay. So, generally speaking, in this kind of situation, I wouldn't expect that you pass the 786, okay? But if you were to pass the 786, you would certainly land at the 886, and I don't think you'd go any higher than that, if not maybe just barely higher than that, before seeing some kind of correction. It's incredibly rare to see a move that just bypasses the golden ratio, bypasses the 786 and the 886, and just keeps going. It's incredibly rare. I can't think of a moment in time that I've seen that. It's already rare enough to tear through your golden ratio and hit the 786, let alone going to the 886. The only reason why I'm giving notion to the 786 is because a lot of cryptos have been doing this, and the 886 too. A lot of cryptos, there are a handful of cryptos, the really bullish ones lately, have been doing that, and that's why it's rare. you only see this in very bullish situations, which, to be fair, XPR seems to be in a rather bullish predicament right now. That's a nice double bottom. This kind of pattern, by the way, you guys, if you take nothing away from this channel at all, just understand that a movement like this, that kind of rounded bottom, this kind of nice, you can see it's like cupped, right? It's like a double bottom. It's an Adam and Eve bottom. This kind of look, if you ever get this little W at the bottom of a massive downtrend, if you see that and you're at this point or you're at this point, technically at this point you wouldn't know yet if it's a W. You'd have to wait for this, but even then that's still a really low price compared to how high it went afterwards, right? I mean, even if you bought the high of this range compared to where you are now, you're up 3x right now, right? So that's pretty phenomenal. Let's get back to what we were doing a second ago. So you understand what I'm saying with the 786 to the 886. Now we'll pull back all the stuff that we had on before that, right? I've got that same fib. I've got all the lines back. The 786 lines up very well with the 1618, which also lines up somewhat with some significant areas of price. But I did say, to me, and so essentially what I'm saying by that is this fib here, the Mac Daddy fib, this big one here, tells me likely you do go to the 786. But from the analysis before, even though it's at the golden ratio, the golden extension, I said I actually would think if you hit the golden ratio, if you hit that just under 2 cent mark, you would likely keep going until you're just under 3 cents or just over 3 cents. And that makes sense too, because that lines up with the 886, which would be the real given maximum that I'd have, that I don't think you would exceed that too much. Maybe just above it to that 200. It's just all I meant whenever I said it earlier that this doesn't help is it basically just tells the same story that I told you. It just certifies that. So on the bright side, I would think that it actually makes the 2 cent and above targets more likely. This fib tells me that it's more likely. So I don't know where else to go from here. You're at about half a cent. You're moving up, man. So I need to make this video. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, it looks like you want to move up now. 1 hour time frame, yeah, you look bullish as hell, bro. You're moving up now. So if anybody's looking to get into this, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but your window is closing. Okay, your window is closing. The opportunity is now. If you were to invalidate anything that I was saying, if you would have to see the daily price close below 2.7 cents, or sorry, 0.0027, not 2.7 cents, 0.0027. That would be convincing me that I'm wrong and that you are going to go lower than this low. What would worry me is if you close the day below 0.0033. That's not condemning. It's not totally condemning, but it would start to make me think I might turn bearish even before you break the 236. It depends on what we would see. So don't do that. It's okay if you go down here. It's not okay if you close down there, right? If you go down there, you want to bounce, okay? But I don't think you will. I personally think what you're doing now is very constructive. It looks productive as hell. I think if you were to go down, you would have done it already, and especially with the way that everything looks right now, a lot of cryptos have no problem retracing from the recent volatility yesterday. I think that you're going to move up. I think you're on your way to 2 cents to 3 cents, maybe just above both of those. I got nothing else for you. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.